Hello everyone, thank you for clicking onto this video. My name is William Morrison, I'm a British Marxist-Leninist and anti-imperialist, and yeah, welcome to the video. If you are somebody that hates cancel culture, bullying tactics from the liberal and toxic left, if you're somebody that, supports your comrades, even if they're being slandered, then you came to the right place. This video is going to be a constructed criticism against the liberal, toxic left, the cancel culture crowd, these toxic elements within leftist spaces. This will be a video against that, motioning against that. So I hope this video is educational and I hope it can be used as a source to use against these liberal toxic elements within socialist spaces. This is a video arguing completely against cancel culture and bullying tactics and slander campaigns against good comrades. A lot of stuff has been happening recently online and in real life, good, genuine people, friends of the working class who are quite big and well known have been slandered and have been restricted on many occasions and stuff. And yeah, it isn't on. And most of the people that are causing this is so-called socialists, so-called communists, who are blocking and cancelling and reporting people, spreading lies and stuff like that. So this video is going to be motioning against that, using Mao Zedong. Mao Zedong obviously was a famous Chinese Marxist revolutionary thinker and leader. He founded New China in 1949. And yeah, he has helped liberate hundreds of millions of people, maybe not him personally, but his ideas and making China what it is today has liberated hundreds of millions of people out of poverty and liberated them from the yoke of capitalism and imperialism. In his own country, he fought back against aristocratic agrarianism, colonialism, imperialism and feudalism, taking them all, destroying them all and creating a socialist system that put Chinese workers and Chinese peasants at the top and the bourgeoisie and the imperialists at the bottom. He industrialized and electrified the country. He slashed literacy rates. He created a completely new healthcare system and education system. He built up the military. He built up cities. He made collective farms. He increased and improved the productive forces of China so much that China, in only a matter of years after Mao's came to power, they were now able to compete with US in lots of economic areas. And that is thanks to Mao Zedong. So there's some historical context for you as to who this person is. However, this video isn't just going to be a general, praise of Mao Zedong and his achievements in history. That would be here for hours and hours and hours speaking about that. So to narrow it down in today's video, and keeping in mind that this video will be themed to be motioning against the cancel culture crowd that are plaguing leftist spaces and socialist spaces. They're plaguing these places. This is going to be a constructive criticism against these liberal elements, these fascistic elements within our movements. We will be reading quotations from Mao, I believe it's chapter 5. I have it here. I'll be reading out 5 quotes. It's the chapter on leadership of party committees, and I will be reading out 5 quotes. And I'll read it out one at a time, and then I'll kind of explain what that means, and I analyse it from a Marxist position. And just bear in mind that the theme of this video is against cancel culture. These quotes will help you maybe use that in an argument sometime. These quotes will definitely help fight against this toxic element that are plaguing and destroying the reputations of very good comrades. Comrades that have been very effective in getting lots of people on board with socialist and anti-imperialist ideas. I'm not going to name any names. This is a fairly new YouTube account, and I don't want to be tied with or associated with anyone. I am my own person. I'm quite isolated here in Scotland, and I'll just leave it at that just now. But yeah, I want this video to be short and concise, so I'm just going to go on and do it. But yeah, I don't want to ramble on for hours and hours and hours. This should be a short, concise video. So this is the first quote I'm going to read out from quotations from Mao. This is the chapter Leadership of Party Committees, and it should help good comrades that are against all this liberal and fascistic stuff to fight against cancel culture and bullying tactics and slander campaigns against our good comrades. So the first quote is, place problems on the table. This should be done not only by the squad leader, but by the committee members too. Do not talk behind people's backs. Whenever problems arrive, call a meeting. Place the problems on the table for discussion. Take some decisions, and the problems will be solved. If problems exist and are not placed on the table, they will remain unsolved for a long time and even drag on for years. The squad leader and the committee members should show understanding in their relations with each other. Nothing is more important than mutual understanding, support and friendship between the secretary and the committee members, between the central committee and its regional bureaus, and between the regional bureaus and the area party committees. So that was the first quote there. And obviously, one thing to point out is this chapter is about party committees. So maybe the quotes are specifically about party committees. But these kind of this mentality, this kind of philosophy that Mao Zedong is promoting here, can't just, it can be applied in all other spaces of life too. It isn't just solely evolved around party committees. This mentality and this philosophy is something that can be used anywhere all the time. So first of all, don't talk about people behind their backs. That is one of the most important things, and it's a huge problem today in leftist spaces by these liberal, toxic, pseudo-marxist left. No, they're spreading lies about good comrades. They're cancelling people over mere trivial disputes about minor theoretical problems, and it's not on. It's unacceptable. So don't slander comrades. That's one of the main things that Mao was all about. Don't slander people. Don't talk about people behind their back. It hurts. It doesn't just hurt that person's reputation. It hurts the whole movement by causing these divisions and spreading these untruths about people. It causes a lot of division, and it weakens us as a whole. No one benefits from that other than the ruling class, the bourgeoisie. They're the only people that benefit from slander campaigns against each other. So, being two-faced and being backstabbing, they're very toxic traits, and they should not be in real communist spaces. If real communist spaces still exist in this world that we live in, you can't be two-faced and you can't be backstabbing to people. Those are, according to Mao, inherently Marxist principles. They're inherently anti-Marxist principles. They should not be used by communists. We should not talk about people behind their backs. We shouldn't slander people either. Also, put problems on the table. Again, address issues. Don't be silent. Don't try to avoid hard questions. Don't try to change the subject or mitigate problems. If a problem arises, then put it on the table. Call a meeting. Have a live stream. Speak to people. Talk about it in great detail. If that means arguing or debating or being quite fierce in your words, then do it. Do it. Just speak about it. Don't shy away from big problems. Face it. That's a very comradely, very Marxist thing to do. It's inherently embedded in democratic centralism. It's a very democratic thing to do. It's authoritarian. It's very dictatorial to just not talk about things that are potentially uncomfortable. We have to talk about difficult things. So, there are things happening now, social and cultural things happening right now in Western societies that need to be talked about. We need to talk about it as Marxists and as communists. We need to be talking about these very, very important and contemporary social and cultural issues. In my opinion, and according to Mao, these are not things that communists should shy away from. These are not things that we should avoid. We need to put these problems on the table, and we need to go in detail and talk about it at length. Very passionate conversations, show enthusiasm. We have to address problems. Not talking about something that's very, very important in society is just putting a plaster on a gunshot wound. It might do something, in the short term, but in the long term, it's going to come out again. The plaster is going to fall off. So we need to talk about problems. We need to address them. That is a Marxist and communist thing to do. Don't shield yourself from big, uncomfortable problems. We have to engage with those as well as communists. Also in this quote, there's talks of mutual understanding, mutual support, and mutual friendship. These shouldn't really be that much of a surprise to communists, but yeah, like we don't have to agree with each other all the time about everything. We don't have to do that. You know, we can't know everything about everything. Some people are more interested in certain subjects and certain areas, so therefore they know more about that area. So people are interested in science and know a lot about physics and chemistry. People are into technology and computers and computing science. They know a lot about hacking and graphics and stuff like that, and editing. Some people are people, sociable people. They like meeting people and speaking to people and stuff like that. Everybody have different interests. You know, we can't know everything about everything all the time. That's why we need mutual understanding and mutual support. Okay, if we're going to make a decision in the future, if we're going to come together and talk about a big issue, then we have to ask each other questions. We have to learn from each other. We can't do that with the tactics of this liberal toxic left that's plaguing our spaces. We can't do that. You know, blocking and cancelling people over little things isn't an adult, mature way to deal with things. We need to show mutual understanding. We need to learn from each other, speak to people and ask questions, engage with people who we might not engage with otherwise. That's so important. There's contemporary social issues going on right now. The whole, trans-related issues and issues with Black Lives Matter. Those are very contemporary, massive social movements right now. There's lots of heated debate going on about it. And I think it's ridiculous, and it's very, very potentially dangerous for communists and comrades not to be talking about these issues. There's nothing that Marxism can't touch. If you look closely enough, you will see the natural laws of Marxism in everything, if you look hard enough. There's nothing that we shouldn't be talking about as Marxists. We need to cover everything that happens on the planet. So it's ridiculous to shield your way. So we need to show understanding. And this is something that the liberal kind of left don't do. These liberals don't do that. They don't show mutual respect and mutual understanding and mutual friendship. If you even question something about the science behind transgenderism, if you say anything that might come across as quite ignorant and naive, you'll get cancelled. You'll get labelled as a transphobe or a TERF. And it's quite frankly ridiculous. We should be allowed to ask questions. We want to learn. Communists and Marxists should want to learn about the world around us. And, this is an inherent part of this. So bullying and cancelling people for just simply asking questions is not a mature way to deal with things. We have to ask questions and we have to learn. We want to learn. So it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous to do what the liberals are doing by just cancelling and blocking people, just for asking questions and wanting to know. It really divides us as a movement, and it really weakens us. And it's not on. It's not on at all. The tactics that the liberal left use are tactics of bullying, tactics. They're coercion. It's us. It's with us or against us mentality. And this mentality is so childish and so immature. It's you either agree with everything we say or you're blocked and cancelled and gone. And that is not how adults should run. This is in politics. We have to work with people we might not agree with all the time. Hell, we might even have to work with people we don't even like. That's happened. If you have a job, anyone with a job knows that you have to work with people who you don't like. Deal with that. Suck it up. Deal with it. We're adults. All right? In that specific job, we have to work with people we don't maybe like. That's okay. That's a normal thing to happen. So this bullying tactics of forcing people to come on the side and support a certain thing is not working at all. It's not working at all. It weakens us. It makes us get laughed at, mocked by actual working class people. We are communists. We are trying to attract working class people. into our movements. We want to help them. We want to help them realize that this society is not for them. They deserve ownership of the means of production. They deserve a better life, and socialists are trying to offer that. But we won't go anywhere. We're not attracting working class people by bullying them into supporting certain social or cultural movements. That isn't going to work. So people need to bear that in mind, especially the liberal kind of toxic left that think that they can just bully people into supporting something. Things like that aren't going to happen overnight. It happens with patience and education and trying to educate people in a respectful, non-condescending, non-arrogant way. And these liberals aren't doing that at all. They're belittling people, ridiculing people for simply not knowing as much as them about certain social and cultural issues. Moving on to the second quote, very quickly. Second quote is exchange information. This means that members of a party committee should keep each other informed and exchange views on matters that have come to their attention. This is of great importance in achieving a common language. Some fail to do so and, like the people described by Lao Tzu, do not visit each other all their lives. Though the crowing of their cocks and the barking of their dogs are within hearing of each other, the result is that they lack common language. This is also a very, very important principle, a very important lesson to learn. Exchanging information. We have to learn, like I said earlier, we don't know everything about everything. We can't. There's too much knowledge out there. There's too much to know. So we pick a field and we become experts in that specific field. So when we're talking about different things, and we're talking about certain issues, then we have to learn from people who know what they're talking about. We have to ask experts on certain matters. So exchanging information is, again, according to Mao, an inherently Marxist position. It's something that all Marxists should be doing. We should be asking difficult questions. We should be engaging in the experts of other fields. We should be learning from each other. And again, this shouldn't just be applied to party committees, as is this chapter. This should be applied to everything. This principle should be applied to everything. If you don't know something, then we shouldn't be scared of it. We shouldn't be scared of what we don't know. We should want to learn from it. We should want to know a lot about it. This is such an important principle. Lacking a common language. It's so true. It's like a scientist and a politician sat next to each other, and this scientist was using all this scientific terminology and phraseology, all these very scientific terms, and the politician using all these political terms. They're not going to understand each other at all. It's different language, it's different fields of expertise, and unless you exchange information in a respectful and civilized way, you're not going to learn from each other. So we have to learn from each other and we have to ask difficult questions. This is a Marxist position, and this is also, again, something that the liberal left completely lacking. These pseudo-Marxists think that they can run the place and they can just tell people how it is and people should just believe them and take their word for it. Well, I'm sorry, but that is not how the world works. We need to educate people in a respectful, patient way. Not everyone is going to come to our side overnight. That isn't going to happen. We need patience. We need to work with people who are not going to like us to begin with. That is something we're going to have to deal with. So I'm sorry, but yeah, we have to have a common language. We have to meet people in the middle, and we have to compromise sometimes. But, as Marxists and as socialists, we need to exchange information. We need to learn from each other. This is super important. And we can't learn from each other when we block people and we cancel people. Okay, we can't learn from each other. We can't progress and advance as socialists. We can't become better scientists if we just block and cancel things that we don't like. That is such an immature and childish way to live a life. Anyway, moving on to the third quote. Ask your subordinates about matters you do not understand or do not know, and do not lightly express your approval or disapproval. We should never pretend to know what we do not know. We should not feel ashamed to ask and learn from people below, and we should listen carefully to the views of the cadres at the lower levels. Be a pupil before you become a teacher. Learn from the cadres at the lower levels before you issue orders. What the cadres at the lower levels say may or may not be correct. After hearing it, we must analyse it. We must heed the correct view and act upon them. Listen also to the mistaken views from below. It is wrong not to listen to them all. Such views, however, are not to be acted upon, but to be criticised. This is also, again, super important and such a mature and adult way to live a life. And to have this mentality really helps build bridges. It really helps build coalitions with people who we might not be able to build coalitions with. This should be able to help us, and I think it will help us. Ask people about matters that you personally don't understand and try to learn. This is so important. Why wouldn't we do that? This should just be a given. This should just be common sense. If you don't know something, then you can't be against it. And there's another quote that I love by Mao, and it's "No investigation, no right to speak." And I think I wholeheartedly agree with that quote. If you don't know what you're talking about something, but yet you're always, you're talking so much about how you hate or support it, I'm sorry, but you won't be taken seriously. I will only take people's opinions seriously when, it's obvious that they're well read and they know what they're talking about. That's super, super important. So yeah, I'm sorry, but no investigation, no right to speak. Ask questions that you don't understand. And again, something else that's really important in this quote, don't feel ashamed to ask people. Don't feel ashamed. If somebody judges you for asking a question, if someone judges you for not knowing something, then that's their problem. That's their insecurity that they're going to have to worry about. That's something that they have to work on themselves. But if you don't know something, then you are totally entitled to ask questions about it. If you want to learn, then ask questions. You shouldn't feel ashamed to ask questions. Do it. You should be encouraged to ask questions. It's of utmost importance to ask questions. So yes, but again, there's a caveat here. The last part of this quote is, even though we need to listen to wrong ideas or to mistaken views, as Mao would put it, that doesn't mean we have to agree with it or take it seriously. We should criticize it. Mao thinks that we should criticize wrong ideas. So don't shut them down. Don't shut these views down. Don't cancel and block people for having these views. But let them say what they think and criticize it in the public, out in the open. Criticizing ideas behind closed doors will not do nearly as much damage in defeating an idea than putting it on the table in public and criticizing that idea. So listen to bad ideas, but you don't have to take them on board. You could criticize them. Criticize bad ideas. Those are 3 kind of takeaways that I got. Okay, again, exchanging information, learning from each other and asking questions, not feeling ashamed to ask questions. Don't feel ashamed. And also criticize bad ideas. Criticize does not mean cancel and block and slander and lie and do all this childish, immature stuff. Okay, criticize means constructively and respectfully, just publicly and criticizing an idea. We have to criticize ideas. Sorry for that little slip up. So yeah, moving on to the 4th quote, which I hope will help argue against the tactics of the cancel culture left. Pay attention to uniting and working with comrades who differ from you. This should be borne in mind, both in the localities and in the army. It also applies to relations with people outside the party. We have come together from every corner of the country and should be good at uniting in our work, not only with comrades who hold the same views, but also with those who hold different views. This is quite a short quote, but it's probably one of my favourite quotes ever by Mao. It's so important and it isn't talked about enough. Okay, like I said earlier, in life we're going to have to work with people we don't like. We have to work with people we don't like and maybe we don't trust, and we have to work with people who we don't agree with. That is something that we're just going to have to accept. Not everyone is going to like us. We are not going to get on with everybody that exists in the world. We will have enemies, we will have people who will act as obstacles and barriers to our advancement. This is just natural in politics. This is inevitable. It's a natural part of politics. Politics is a very diverse life. It's a very diverse landscape. It's a very diverse arena. There's people from very different views. We're not going to all agree all the time. And it's stupid to think that. But that doesn't mean that we have to shut these people down. It doesn't mean we have to cancel and block them for having different opinions. Unite with them. Mao said we have to unite and work with comrades who we disagree with. So yeah, our goal is the same. Our goal is to create a socialist or a communist society. We are working towards socialism right now. That is the stage in our work as communists. We are working towards socialist advancement in societies. And so our goal is the same. So it shouldn't matter what people's social or cultural or religious views are. I'm personally an atheist, but I work with religious comrades all the time. And I take them very seriously, and I work very, very closely to Christians and Muslims and all other faiths. I'm an atheist, but I'm a communist too, and my communist principles come up first. They're primary to my atheism. So I follow more communist principles, and my communist principles that I've read from people like Mao is to unite and work with people who we disagree with. So stop blocking people, stop cancelling people, and we just have to deal with the fact that not everyone's going to agree and there's going to be disagreements. That's where democratic centralism comes in the vanguard party, but we'll get to that another time. The last quote, we're getting to the half an hour mark of this video, so we'll just wrap it up. The fifth quote is, "Guard against arrogance. For anyone in a leading position, this is a matter of principle and an important condition for maintaining unity. Even those who have made no serious mistakes and have achieved very great success in their work should not be arrogant." Again, this is common sense. This should be common sense, but unfortunately, it's not. Some aspects and some people, some big personalities in the liberal left, kind of radlib, people like Vosh, they are some of the most arrogant and condescending people that we've ever met, that I've ever met or I've ever came across and engaged with. It's remarkable. It's absolutely remarkable how arrogant some people are. They think that because they know a lot or because they've read a lot of books, they think that they're better than people, and they condescend people and they ridicule people and they mock people for not knowing as much as them about things like history, politics, sociology, the material conditions in various socialist states, how woke we are and how enlightened we are in certain social and cultural issues in today's era. People they condescend each other all the time. They're so arrogant, and they think that if you don't know a lot about something, it means that you're not as important or you shouldn't be listened to as much. And that is very, very dangerous. Again, it weakens us so much. We shouldn't be belittling and ridiculing people who don't know as much as us. We should be helping them come to our side, again, with patience and respect and civility. We should listen to what they have to say and try to help them see it from our lens. Marxism-Leninism is a science, is a whole way of thinking. To be a communist, it takes a lot of restructuring your mind. It's a lot of unlearning about a lot of lies that you've been told. So it's hard work being a communist to begin with. You have to unlearn a lot, and you have to see the world in a very different way than you're used to. And some of that thing that you see, some of those things that you see that's different won't be comfortable. Okay? When you start seeing things from a Marxist perspective, it's not all sunshine and roses. It's quite difficult stuff to deal with sometimes. Being class conscious isn't always good. Being class conscious can sometimes be pretty damn depressing, because you have to see the truth. You have to see through the bullshit and the lies, and you have to see through that. And that isn't easy. So we need to stop being arrogant. We have to stop being condescending to people, and we have to show people who are different to us with a little bit of respect and a little bit of civility. This is how a Marxist should engage with people. Again, this was only 5 quotes I read out, but I think the theme of this video has been quite well reinforced. So ultimately, some closing remarks would be that we should try to adhere to these quotes more often, and we shouldn't forget that these exist. This mentality, this way of thinking, and this praxis in everyday life will help us build bridges and unite with people who we wouldn't have otherwise united with, and work with people who are very, very different. Okay, communism is, anyone can be a communist. It shouldn't be exclusive to a certain type of person. Obviously, we are attracting workers and we're trying to help workers, but the working class is the vast majority of any population. Very, very different people, different races, different ethnicities, different faiths. There's all sorts of intersectionalities going on in the working class. We are a very diverse people. We're a very, very diverse people. But we are, one thing that unites us, one thread that unites us all, is our class character. We are the proletariat, we are the working class. We are the labouring class of capitalist society. That is one thread that unites us all. Ultimately, we have to work with people we disagree with. We have to work with people and unite with people and listen to people who we don't necessarily like. That's just tough. We have to learn as much as possible. Marxists and communists will never know everything. Okay, we are students of life, and we will be students for the rest of our lives. We will constantly be learning about the world around us as it changes over time. And we will also be learning about history and how things were the way they were in the past. These are educational kind of tenets to being a communist and to being a socialist and to being an anti-imperialist. So, yeah, if you want to be a disciplined and an orderly, disciplined, kind of committed communist, then we should be going back to the basics. Go back to the basics, start reading the basics of Marxism-Leninism, and you will learn a lot. It's an eye-opening experience. And you'll see that the writings of Mao Zedong and Friedrich Engels and Karl Marx and Lenin and Stalin, the writings and works of these great revolutionary thinkers, there's a complete disparity between what they say and what you see online, on Facebook and on Twitter and on BreadTube. There's a complete disparity there with the praxis and the words and the slogans and the takes and positions that people on nowadays social media put out, and to what our forefathers said in their works and in their books. So I think it's very easy to forget lots of different principles and ways of thinking from the theories of Marxism-Leninism. So I think it's important to go back to the basics, because cancelling people and blocking people and slander, carrying out slander campaigns against people because they said something mean about a certain I don't even really care. I don't really get into online drama. Okay, I don't get into any of it. Like everybody who has kind of built a fairly big following, you get blocked all the time by people. You kind of get used to it. But this cancel culture is a toxic element within our spaces, and all disciplined communists should do whatever it takes to stand up against that and fight back against this toxic culture of cancelling and slandering and bullying and blocking. It is unproductive, and I think, as this video shows, it's inherently anti-Marxist. It's anti-communist to have such a childish mentality. Okay, so listen and take in those 5 quotes. Analyze it yourself if you want, and try and live by it as much as possible when it comes to blocking people. If you see somebody online who's trying to lie or screenshot something from another comrade about something he said, remember this video, remember those 5 quotes, and just try to ignore it and engage respectfully and with a little bit of civility, and don't be arrogant and condescending. Just try to learn from each other and try to have some sort of mutual understanding. But that kind of wraps up the video. I hope this helps, and again, I hope this video can be used as a source to fight back against the cancel culture that we have to live with now in most socialist spaces. I hope this helps, and I hope this was educational, and we need to go back to the basics. So please, whatever it is, you don't have to read the books. There's lots of audio books, there's lots of people I can give you some sources and stuff that I certainly learn from and listen to. Real Marxists that have actually read Marx and actually know what they're talking about when it comes to Marxism-Leninism. But anyways, yes, thanks again. That is the end of the video. Just want to say, please subscribe to this channel, please like the videos, and please share, spread the word, please. I really want to get these videos out as much as possible, and I want to help as many people as possible come to our side, the side of real Marxism and real socialism and real anti-imperialism. I want people to come to our side, and I want to help them see a new way of life, and I want to give them an alternative to the current society that we live in. So thanks again. Please don't feel obligated to do anything, but yeah, I will hopefully see you in the next video. Goodbye.